That is strange. We are live, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are live, right? Uh, it looks like people not joining yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that is
Okay.
today,
strange.
let me just share again the link, maybe.
I don't know. It does not matter that much. At least, few joins. So there is something else going on here.
We can give them a couple of minutes.
Yeah, let's just wait.
I mean, this is something unique that has never happened. Even like, at a
Exactly.
small lives that I do on my small subscriber base, at least, 5 to 10 people kind of immediately joins. This
Yeah.
is something
Yeah.
happening
Maybe,
or seeing.
It
I'm seeing
is.
it for the very first time.
maybe it's me.
No,
No,
no, I think like
I
it
don't think
must be
so.
something related to
There is
the
something
live
weird.
link.
This.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably
I will
something related to
just.
live link or notification not going out from Substack itself.
hmm
Something weird is going on here. And it's like not you schedule it like for everyone, right?
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
like a
I
paid
scheduled
one.
for everyone, and then I scheduled for everyone.
Ah, that is
So
super strange.
otherwise, yeah. I mean, like we can just start. Like if we want to start, I think it's that it doesn't really matter though.
Yeah.
Anyway, we just share everything.
Yeah. We can get
Are
started.
you sure? Yeah,
Oh, there,
okay.
there.
I can
Okay,
see
there we go.
now people joining in.
Yeah. There we go.
Finally, there must be some delay in the notification, probably.
Yeah, I think that is like a lagging issue here, and that
Yeah, that's
may
what I was
explain.
wondering.
That also
What's
maybe
going
explain
on, man?
like the growth of the new subs across Substack, I guess, for the last few days.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think like this is probably like that. Some way, some delay is happening in the notification. That's why like we are seeing that kind of delay. Otherwise, this has never happened right before.
Right,
This is usually the first time what
first
we are
time,
seeing today.
first time for everything.
Everything.
Lot of traffic on Substack now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
All right. So thank you everyone for joining in. I think we are all already like we were waiting for everyone to join in. And for 2 minutes, nobody joined. So we thought like we should reschedule. But now here we are. You guys have joined in. So thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining from. Today is episode number 20 of our one shot show. And we are excited. We have today Hodman with us. She is more like a data scientist. I think she'll introduce herself on a formal basis, but she runs a couple of newsletters and she is the founder of Asaura AI, Asura AI, right? If I pronounce it correctly.
hmm
And today we are going to talk about a very interesting topic, more like building an agent for pre-mortem of production, I would say, decisions or any critical decisions, right? So you can use that. We all have heard about post-mortem analysis of anything that we launch, anything we build, any critical decision we make. The agent that Hotman is going to build today live is more like pre-mortem that can help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid costly decisions, or something that you should not be doing. So that's what we will be building today.
Yeah.
So I hand over to Hotman, and you can introduce yourself formally, and then we can get going.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me today. I've been watching your show for a few months now, and I love the One Shot Show. So if you don't already know me off of Substack, so I'm Hodman Murad. I am a former data scientist. I came from the consulting and then the tech sector, working for Fortune 500 brands as a data scientist. Earlier this year, I founded my first company, Asaura AI. We build productivity tools for neurodivergent people. I'm also a creator on Substack where I publish 2 newsletters. The first being Between Thinking and Doing, where I design structured AI systems for high performers who are facing execution friction and want to get traction on their complex lives. And then there's the data letter where I teach senior managers, operators, technical staff how to build with AI. So all free subscribers of Between Thinking and Doing get a free um, uh, I think it is get a free friction audit to help you determine what it is that's holding you back from getting your work done. And then all free subscribers of the data letter get an AI readiness checklist that will score just how far along your team is with AI adoption instead of you just guessing. And I'll just put the links to both in
I just
here.
dropped them. I just dropped
Oh,
them.
okay, great,
Yeah.
perfect. So when you look at what the nature of what Asura does, helping people who struggle with executive dysfunction and also being someone with ADHD, I'm always experimenting with ways to remove friction from my life and my working life. And then I share all of those processes with all of my subscribers between thinking and doing and the data letter. So every product decision at Asura runs through a Claude system I set up once and I've been reusing it over and over again. I built it during our beta phase earlier this year when I was trying to figure out how to manage all of the user data I was getting without getting overwhelmed. And I'll walk you through it over the next 15 to 20 minutes. And by the end, you can have the same system in your own Claude account. You can do this with a free tier. There's no coding required. So early in the beta phase, really the Asura beta. So I built a priming overlay feature into the Asura beta. It was this short breathing exercise that showed up before the task breakdowns that was meant to help the user settle into their work. So I originally built it for 2 reasons. The first was that I'd read a study out of India on yoga and meditation as ADHD interventions. And the research showed a clinical reduction in symptoms in the kids that were part of the study. The second was that meditation has helped me in my life immensely in terms of managing my ADHD, managing anxiety and stress. So I had this study, I had my own experience, and I was sure that this was the right call. So I shipped it as a feature in the Asaura AI beta. And I ended up having 51 people sign up to be beta testers on the Asura beta, which was awesome. But they shut this feature down within that first week of testing, and the feedback was almost identical from every one of them. They wanted features that get work done, and while breathing exercises do feel nice, our beta testers didn't think it helped them accomplish anything, especially since they signed up to use a productivity tool. And I ended up killing that feature. The system is how I made this decision. So and we're going to show you. I'm going to show you how to do that. I have Claude open. I'm on Claude Pro, but if you don't have an account, you can just go ahead and sign up because you can do this on the free tier. And you can click on projects here and then new project. Put in your title and whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. You can, if you want, I don't really fill this one out, but you can name this decision studio. I already made everything for today because for some reason Claude has been so slow these past couple of days, and I didn't want to sit here for 3 minutes getting an answer. So in the project instructions area, you can click on uh, here, and so this is where you paste the persona that every chat you have inside this project is based on. And I'm gonna drop the instructions for you guys here. 1 second. Into the chat that you can paste yourselves as well. So it says, you're my decision partner. My name is Han Murad and I run Asaura AI. When I bring you a decision, don't cheerlead. Your job is to surface failure modes I haven't seen and make the case for positions I've dismissed. Reference the knowledge files in this project, whether whenever they're relevant, and be specific. So there are 2 lines in the instructions that are doing most of the work. And you can obviously put in your own instructions. I'm just giving you kind of like the basic construction of one that you should use for this. So so there's 2 lines in the instructions that are doing most of the work. So the first is don't cheerlead, which is important because AI in nature is sycophantic, meaning its default is to agree with you and make you feel good about your decisions. The different frontier labs have admitted this. And, it's the opposite of what you need when you're making a decision you can't easily reverse. The second is reference the knowledge files, because without that line, the model kind of treats every chat as a new chat and forgets everything you've told it about your product, about your company, and also go through the specific project files as well shortly. So once you save those instructions, your project setup is done, and we'll also send out, like Jared said, these materials afterwards. So it has everything we covered today, plus templates that you can reuse. I already have mine in here though. Um, so I've preloaded 4 files into Decision Studio for today. And you kind of like can see them here in the project knowledge panel on the right side, and I'll walk you through them. So this is my jobs to be done document. So this is a 1-page document explaining what users use Asaura for. Mine says users open Asaura when they can't start a task and want to get themselves moving in the next few minutes. So Claude uses that one sentence to kind of like check every idea I bring into the studio. Without this file loaded, the pre-mortem would surface failure modes that don't apply to my product because it wouldn't know what my users measure success against. So this is for this file, like you'll get it this way, but you should definitely redo it for your own company as well. So if I had this file loaded when I built the priming overlay, the studio would have flagged the feature immediately. And then there's sorry. And then there's the feedback file. So the second file is my user feedback log, which is it's a running list of quotes from beta interviews, current user interviews, support tickets, chat messages, all like tagged by theme and date. And this is the file the prompt will pull from when it asks what evidence I'm ignoring. It reads like through the log and serves as a user quote. I chose not to kind of like weigh in my decision. And you update this weekly or monthly, or every time a user gives you feedback, you add that in. And then the decisions file. So the decisions file, the third file, is a running log of every product decision I've walked through with this. So each entry has the date I made the call and a summary of what I decided. So this file gets more useful the more decisions I run through the studio, and Claude can look at the calls I've made and warn me if I'm about to make one that looks like a decision that it didn't work out. So if I'm about to make a decision that looks like one I already got wrong, the studio catches it before I get too far into it. The memo about kind of like killing the breathing exercise overlay is already saved in this file. So the next time I'm about to add a step before the user starts a task or ship a feature aimed at making users feel calmer instead of helping them get moving, Claude will point back to this memo and remind me that it happened the first time or what happened the first time I tried it. Me personally, I am naturally a positive person. I get so easily excited by everything. So a file like this helps me kind of just like keep my head on straight. And I think it will help you as well if you're like me. And then finally, the fourth file is my product, excuse me, anti-patterns list, which is a short list of things I've decided not to do at Asaura and why. For example, one entry says adding steps before task, kill the breathing exercise overlay after beta testers said the extra step made it harder to start working, which was the exact behavior the overlay was supposed to prevent or help with. So this file stops the studio from suggesting solutions I've already ruled out, and it keeps me from redesigning features I've learned don't fit with my product. And the prompt alone would kind of give you like a generic pre-mortem, but these 4 files together what make the studio yours. So we can run it. I'm going to run a real decision through this.
So before
Yeah,
we run that, Hotman, like one
yeah,
question, like if let's suppose somebody wants to set it up, like who is like very beginner, I think some of the things that we are using over here, for example, jobs to be done, right? These are like some standard frameworks that you are using, right? I
yeah,
mean, but like some of the people may not know about what these frameworks are, how to put these thoughts together, how to build these files right from the start. For example, like even the anti-pattern file, right? So
yeah,
how a person should get started with that, because this is something very specific maybe to you, right? But
yeah.
like if I have to use that, how do I get started building these files?
Yeah. When I first started using like Claude and ChatGPT and they released their project features, I started really small with just having um, markdown files that were kind of like the tone that I wanted to use in my writing, for example,
Mhm.
or anti AI isms that I didn't want in my writing, like M dashes or the not this, but that, like phrasing. So I think the way that you can get started with making files like these is to think about some of the things that you're constantly reminding AI chats about your company, about your writing, about whatever, like a specific feature, and put those together in a Google document and make them into a Markdown file and upload them to your project or your chat that you're or that specific chat. In terms of so that the way that I created all of these things was like these 4 files were just they're an amalgamation of things that I was constantly reminding these chats about in terms of like my product and how I wanted the product to be, and also my own like telling it about my own shortcomings, about the way that I get like overwhelmed, and how I want specific tasks broken down for me when it's communicating with me. Like I said, like everything that I do or create with AI is meant to help remove friction from my life and from my work. And I think writing those things down and the things that you're constantly repeating to AI is a good start to getting started with putting together project files and markdown files.
Okay. So like if we go back to the design studio, like the project itself, and there were
Yeah.
like, 4 files. So if somebody has to start like from very basic, which of these files they should get started with? Maybe like, is it like one file, or, we need to improve over a period of time in them? Where is the like pre-mortem thing comes into play? Like what are the basic, very bare minimal essentials that a person like who want to get started with this process and then
Mhm.
refine over a period of time? What are those some of the basic essentials that one should get started with?
Definitely the jobs to be done and the feedback file. Um, because it depends on what your product is, but for me, it's a digital product. It is an AI app, and my users are the most important things to me. So just having those 2 files that help this chat or this project know what your product is about, what you're selling, why you're doing it, and then who you're doing it for, and then what the people you're doing it for or keep telling you about your product are the 2 most important things. So the jobs to be done and then the feedback files. Um, and then decisions, of course, I mean, that could be something that, like, starts off blank, and it's a running file of like, the decisions that you made and why you made them, is a good third as well. Anti-patterns I have on here because I just think it's an extra, but I think,
Mm-hmm.
like, the decisions file also does that. Um, so I would say, like, jobs to be done and feedback for sure, and then, like, the decisions file can be, like, a running log of the decisions that you made and whether or not they worked out.
Okay. 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 And again, jobs to be done just for everyone's sake. I just pasted it in chat as well. It's more like, thinking or an innovation framework, right? It's a standard framework that um, why somebody would want to buy a product. And it's, they want to get some job done. They want to get some specific thing done. That's the ideology behind putting your thoughts and putting that text or whatever you are thinking in a more structured way. That's how I understand jobs to be done file to be.
Yeah, and also just like telling the AI what your users are using Asura for, and something that's like a bit more than what your pitch for your product is,
Hmm.
but rather like the evidence that you like the information
I
that
like
you've
it.
gathered from your users about like this is
Okay.
how they're using it, like whether you're getting the data from user interviews or like at a super base or
Hmm.
whatever like feedback tool you're using.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. So
So
yeah.
sorry, I have one question though.
Yeah.
I was wondering, like, do you also include the company details of like Azura? So, like, what
Yeah.
Azura is and what the products actually are, and then like
Yeah.
how the products can help the to solve the user's problem, right?
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
that
yeah,
is in the absolutely. So that's in the jobs to be done file for this one. I also have skills that tell the chat about the different product that I'm working on. So for Asura, I have like the Asaura AI palette. I even have one for like the color palette if I'm asking it for a prompt for like Gemini. And then I have like these two to remind, like if I'm writing a like a Substack article, I have like these two to remind the chat about like what between thinking does, what data the data letter does. So you can put it as part of the instructions. You can put it as part of a file as a file. I also use Claude Skills a lot. If I just need to like kind of like plug it in so it remembers in the chat and like the prompt that I'm giving it.
Perfect, perfect. And I mean, like those of you who have been attending like the past one shot show sessions, we try to put these as context profiles. So I mean, like in our blueprint, we teach everyone like to create context profiles,
Yeah.
which is more like a set of files that could be like different your brand voice, your business,
Yeah.
about your business, about your competitors. So that way as well, you can structure the similar thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I have like just getting out of this, like I even have like this is for all of my LinkedIn activity. And I have so many like supporting files just for
Hmm.
my LinkedIn activity. Oh, I don't know why it says empty. Anyway, but I have so many supporting files for my LinkedIn activity that like includes like my brand bible, my like the tone that I want to use in my LinkedIn and like different hooks I want to use, the kind of imagery I want to use. So yeah, like
Okay.
anything that you can think of that you're so sick and tired of like repeating to AI, I suggest you make that a markdown file and upload it to your chats and your projects.
Perfect. Perfect. I think we're ready
Okay.
for the run.
Hold on, let me just okay, so I'm gonna run everything. Actually, let's go back a bit. So before you paste any prompt, I think yeah, fill in a decision input template, which forces you to kind of like write the decision clearly before Claude tries to. I'm just gonna like kind of drop the different headings in here. Uh, Sorry. So that's supposed to be 3, 4, 5 different ones. Um, so there's 5 fields to fill in. The decision itself is just like one sentence of like what you're trying to figure out. So why you're making it now, the evidence for and the evidence against, and then what happens if you're wrong. So this will just at the top here. So decision, add a breathing exercise overlay before any task in the Asura beta. Why now? I've read a study on meditation for ADHD in kids, and the approach works for me personally. The evidence for, clinical study on symptom reduction, plus my own use, and then evidence against, none. I'm waiting. None that I'm weighing right now. Sorry. And then what happens if I'm wrong? I waste a month of build time. So that's and disappoint beta testers. So the last field is pretty important because if I'm honest about the cost of being wrong, the studio can kind of like push back on my reasons for shipping it. And if I skip it, I can't. It really can't do that. So you can fill in these properties in with business or study decisions. I wrote none I'm waiting for evidence against because at the time I didn't think there was any evidence against it. When you're excited about a decision, you stop looking for reasons it might not work. So it's really important to be honest about this as well. So I'm going to run everything as part of one prompt. Um, do it in however many steps you'd like instead of, 3. The output is the same, but Claude has, like I said, it's been so slow this morning. So I really wanted to, do this. I don't want to wait around. So I'm kind of just like doing everything once and it's already like set up. So the prompt, I'll just give that to you as well. Here, 1 second.
And we'll, for everyone's sake, like we'll be reposting this in the recap as well with files and
Yeah.
markdown too.
Yeah, sure. 1 sec. There you go. No, it didn't fit. So the prompt said take the decision above and do 3 things in response. So part 1 is the pre-mortem. Sorry. So part 1 is the pre-mortem, and it's saying like assume it's 6 months from today, and this decision has failed. Give me the top 8 failure modes, like why it ranked, and like the likelihood of this being one of the reasons why this fails. So and I give it like what to put in, or the information to give me for each of those 8 failure modes. And I say it's reference the job to be done doc, and the anti-patterns list. So I think you should try to be as detailed as possible in your prompts
Right.
and what information you want to pull where you want to pull information in order to answer this question for you. And then part 2 is the red team. So this is the one that argues against the decisions, argues against me as best as possible. And so the prompt is to argue against the decision as strongly as you can. Write it as a memo from someone who's thought about this longer than me and thinks I'm about to make a mistake. This is I like this when Claude kind of like talks to me like this. And you can have it present the information to you whichever way you'd like. This is just something that works for me. And then cover the assumption I'm making that's likely wrong, and the evidence I'm ignoring. And then end with the one question I need to answer before moving forward. And then part 3 is the decision memo. So it's synthesized into 1-page decision memo with these sections. I'm going to give it like the information that I want from it. So here's what came back. I already ran this morning. Sorry, just gonna close this. So here's what came back. I already ran it this morning. So like look what Claude does before it even kind of like starts at the 3 parts I asked for it. It's telling me before I hand this to you, a flag you'll notice as soon as you read it, your own docs already record this exact decision made in February, killed after 51 beta testers rejected it. So that's in the decision stock, the running doc that I have already, and sort of pulling from it. And I answered 3 parts anyway. So it gives me the answer anyway. So Claude is refusing to let me pretend I don't know this. It found the priming overlay memo and decisions. So it matched it again in and told me I'm rerunning a feature I already killed, which is exactly how it's supposed to be working. So it hasn't even started the analysis yet, and it has already made for me. But we're gonna kind of just like go through the 3 different stages here. So, like I said, part 1 is the pre-mortem, and Claude ranked 8 failure modes for me. And the most important, I'll just go through the most important. So, number 1 says beta testers closed the app on the overlay screen, and the early signal is a session drop-off spike in that first week. Claude then tells me what I should have tested before committing, which is a 2-week opt-in A/B test and task start rate as the metric, not a default rollout. That's a concrete test I should have run before shipping. I think like if you worked in product or data or engineering, like obviously you don't ship a feature out to your entire user base. And you kind of just like do like a gradual feature rollout and test it that way. This was the A/B. This was the beta test. The reason why I decided to kind of just like show them all the features is because I wanted to get as much feedback as possible, and I didn't really expect that. Well, of course, I expected some people to sign up for the beta, but I didn't expect 51 people. So that kind of like could have been a better way to roll it out. But again, it was the beta phase, and that's why I kind of just like shipped out all the features that I had and took as much data as possible. Um, Number 5, the founder brain trap. So number 5 is so Claude is naming the anti-pattern the doc that I loaded, and saying this is the works for me fallacy. The anti-pattern stock kind of like flags my name. So it's telling me that the only person in the beta praising the feature is going to be me. Again, this is like this is supposed to be like somebody talking to me 6 months from now is going to be me. And that's a really good diagnostic signal to watch out for. Number 6 is study population mismatch. I love this one. So Claude is saying the India study is on kids in supervised testing. And my own anti-pattern doc names this as a bad extrapolation. So it suggests a 30-minute literature scan on adult self-serve mindfulness apps before I kind of like commit a month of build, which is I love that it pointed this out. So that was the pre-mortem. And then so the red team memo, where it kind of like lands. And I'll read the opening out loud. So it's telling me I want to be direct because you'd want me to be. You are about to reship a feature you already killed 4 months ago for reasons your own documents predicted, using the same justification you used the first time. I read the file to you, which is like a little rude, but that's Claude. So I kind of like hadn't before I did this, I hadn't had an AI talk to me like that before. So Claude can only push me this hard because I loaded evidence into the project. My anti-pattern stock, my feedback log, my decision history gave it the ammunition to commit. Then Claude pulls direct quotes from my user feedback log to make the case.
Mhm.
I don't it's to kind of like make the case. So every single one of these quotes was already in the feedback file before I sent the prompt, and Claude went back into that file, pulled the specific dates and words my users used, and line them up against my decision. Um, there we go. Again, my decision. So the breathing was nice, but I don't have time for it before every task. That was January 19th. Every time you put something between me and my task, I close the app, and that was January 25th. Please skip the wellness stuff. That was February 14th. I already tried meditation apps. That's not why I'm here. And that was February 20th, which is like such an ADHD thing to say, like a person with an ADHD thing to say, because we really have tried every productivity, anti-anxiety, meditation advice out there. So that's fair. It's pretty fair. So every one of these was a warning I had on file, and Claude is asking me why I ignored them. And if we're gonna just go to, sorry, 1 second. Here we go. Um, um, okay. So, and then Claude makes the point that ends kind of like the case for this. So it says your own anti-pattern stock has a rule against its exact substitution. You wrote that rule after killing this feature. You are now proposing to violate the rule you wrote in response to killing this feature. So that's the studio like using my own writing against me, which is exactly what I want it to do. And then the red team ends with a question I now kind of like treat as a rule for myself. So Claude asks, what has changed since February 28th in the users, the feedback, or the job to be done files that would make the same feature succeed this time. And my rule is like, if the answer is that nothing has changed, but I kind of like read a new study or I'm excited about something, um, just because I'm excited, like I already have that answer. So it really helps me kind of just like level with myself as well. Um, so now the memo, so part three, which is the piece that you save at the end. So Claude synthesized all of this into a one-page memo, and the verdict is no, we're not doing it on the overlay like as proposed. So Claude gave me a hard no, which is a full recommendation, and it has like a full recommendation section, like telling me why. Here, number 6 here. So this is the kill criteria, um, that I asked it to include. So, in case I decided to run a smaller test anyway, Claude is telling me that if task start rate drops more than 5% over 14 days, or if I get more than 3 unprompted friction complaints, or if my own use is the only positive signal, like I stop testing. And I never like wrote a kill criterion. When I built the overlay, I built it, I shipped it, and let the 51 beta testers do that killing for me. So if I'd had this memo 6 months ago, I wouldn't have shipped the overlay at all. And I would have kind of like run the 3 tests Claude recommends in the memo, which are five, um, interview 5 heavy users about a pre-task state, read 3 studies on adult self-serve mindfulness apps and task initiation, and prototype a version that runs after the first step generator starts up. So that's a fully different product decision, and it took Claude 1 prompt and like 4 files, Claude project instructions to like walk me to that conclusion. So like once you have the memo, you kind of like just copy it, paste it into the decisions markdown file with today's date, and re-upload the file to the project, or you can just get the Claude chat to update that specific file in your project for you. So the next time you run a decision through the studio, the decision studio here, this memo becomes one of the entries Claude checks against, and runs like its decision through, along with the other decisions. And your version of the studio kind of like gets sharper, like and more reliable with every call you put through it, as long as you keep updating it with those memos. Um, and then lastly, I don't have it here. And then lastly, I think um, I want you to put I want you to put a block after you do this, like 30 days out, like right now before, 30 days out, and then label it Decision Studio 30-day check. And the check in itself is pretty simple. You open the decisions markdown file, you find the memo you saved today, look at the kill criteria or 30 days or 14 days, and compare them against what happened over the last couple, like 2 to 4 weeks. And then I'm going to drop this check-in template in here in the chat. So the 30-day check-in, so decision, kill criteria from the memo, your results, and whatever the verdict is, and then like what you learned over the past like 2 to 4 weeks of testing. And you kind of like fill it in and save it back to the decisions markdown and like re-upload the file to the project, or just get Claude to update the file for you. And the studio kind of like only works if you come back to it, because a memo you write and forget is kind of like a journal entry. You can also make a scheduled task for this as well, if you're using Claude. But yeah, so I'll like Derek said, I'll be sending the files and the prompts for this out afterwards. I don't know if anybody has any questions. Um,
So yeah, I mean, like, I mean, one I question I have is, have you gone through this exercise where the decision has come out to be go?
um, it has yes, on a new feature that I'm building right now that I don't want to talk about yet, but it'll be out in like a
Oh,
month.
sure. Okay.
But yeah, I use this because I'm just like a positive person, and like I get really excited about things, and I use this to kind of just like tell me to like stop and like just focus on what I'm already working, or
Yes.
or if like I should build that into the feature. But like I'm talking to users all the time, and I'm reading like different studies and like looking at different like competing products like all the time. So there's a lot of instances where I've like put decisions through this.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Why I ask is like I use a lot of pre-mortem skill, like just the pre-mortem part of it,
Yeah.
and I mean the moment I run anything through it, it scares me so much that like
Yeah.
I don't want to launch, right? I don't
Yeah.
want to release anything. So I mean initially when I started with it, but then later I realized that instead of like using that skill for a no-go decision or go no-go decision, let me use it to like highlight all the risks that are there and how to
Yeah.
mitigate them. And if something is there that I should be proactive, proactively working upon. So that's how I started using it because it was very overwhelming in a negative sense for me when I started using it because everything was coming out no go. And when I look at it if it is like a general traditional software development, product development where
Yeah.
there is no AI to accelerate these feature development, I get that idea, but like my mindset is that now if I can give this in the hand of people with that A/B testing in a matter
Yeah.
of couple of days instead of months it used to take earlier with the help of AI, why
Yeah.
not do a real test then hypothesize with AI? So I use a lot with the from the pre-mortem skill from the perspective of more like risk mitigation rather
Mhm.
than like having a go no go decision kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And like I mentioned earlier as well, like you can still do this and that, but then you have criteria for like just when to stop experimenting, and if it's like costing you too much. Like it's really important. Like this isn't the be all and end all. Like it works for me because but also like I don't have like an entire team. I'm just like I'm making
Hmm.
a lot of like decisions on my own. And so it's good to kind of like to have like that feedback. But in the end, like I have
Right.
kind of like tested like new features, um, even though like this has told me not to do it because it's just because I still have like that criteria to like not spend more than like a couple of weeks on it.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Totally. No,
I
this
have
is great. Yeah.
one question though. So like your prompt sounds like uh looks like a structure, I guess. Like so, whenever you prompt, you have decisions and why now, evidence for, and evidence against, right? And like what happens if I'm wrong? What if
Yeah.
like is there like in practical, whenever you do this, like is can you just like let's say, hey, I have this feature and this feature want to do this. What do you think? Like, can you somehow like just throw something like that, and then from there that the agent will try to understand and break
Yeah.
your ideas apart and tell
Yeah.
it you like go no go or go with conditions.
Yeah. Cause I absolutely because like you already have um all of the like the conditions like in the project already. So if there's like new messaging that I want to test out, like a new like product decision, product idea, like you can just like start the chat like unstructured and just talk to the chat. Like it doesn't have to be as structured as this. I made it structured just to like teach people. And you can kind of just like if you already have like all of the project files in there with what you want to accomplish and what you've done already, you can just casually start chatting with the project.
Yeah. And window, I think like you can fold these instructions right into the project instructions as well. And
Yeah.
then like, from there, that project becomes your um, go-to prompt. I mean, the way
Yeah.
you can structure it in a way that it is always there in the instruction,
Yeah,
much
exactly.
like the way we code the agents.md file, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like you can, um, what do you call it? Yeah, exactly. And you can just like
Yeah.
have as much as you need to. I think you should give it the project as many instructions as possible because
Right.
and then use like different chats for
Right.
every decision instead of like just having one long chat that like eventually
Right.
just like collapses. But yes.
So yeah, how I do it, window is like just the pre-mortem part. I have like a pre-mortem skill. And it's a standard skill. I mean, GitHub repo is there. You can search it. I just use it, and then like I modified it according to my own needs. And then like that skill exists, and that skill can be invoked by Claude. And I installed that skill at the Claude level, like my user level,
Yeah,
so that all
exactly.
my projects have that. And
Mhm.
whenever like your window, you said that I want to make this decision, so and so, what do you think about what will happen if I go wrong? Can you do a pre-mortem? So I just write that, and with this intent, it would load that skill, run that decision within that project, so that I don't need to structure any kind of prompt over there. So similar way, I think what Hodman showed, the three layers or three steps can be structured in a skill, or like if you are like working in multiple projects, if you have like, I think like over here, decision studio as like one single project there where all decisions are being made, then like we can put it in the project instructions. That's how I see it. Like I would
Yeah,
structure it in that way.
exactly. Um, exactly. So every I think and the files that we send you, I think, like, you don't have to use them exactly, um, in order for this project to work for you. I completely, recommend experimentation and
Right.
also, like, using it for whatever it is that you're trying to make whatever your product is. This works for a digital, like a tech app, and for my own business and like my brain. But yeah, I think I highly recommend experimenting and kind of just like molding it to yourself as much as possible.
Absolutely. And anybody who's watching, like, you all can modify it if you are into content, if you are into video making. I mean, you can modify the entire thing according to whatever you create or develop. It's just like a way of m- not making those costly decisions that you will regret like after a month or maybe
Yeah,
15 days now.
yeah. There you go. Ah,
Yeah,
That's
and
very sweet.
there is one question from Abed Al Hadi, I guess. So like he was asking like when you set up this decision studio, are you using Claude Project to store the context
Yeah.
versus one of Chrome, right? So yeah, maybe you can explain this, Otman, because but I guess like we use Cloud projects to do this, and the reason is because you
yeah,
want to store the context. So the next time you want to repeat this with another decisions, you can do it like with without like having to build up the prompt from scratch, right? So you can just
exactly.
make it like a repeatable system that you can do this every time you find any decision or like new features that you want to work on, and you want the agent to run the pre-mortem for those feature or decisions.
Exactly. And it's just to save yourself time and brain energy when you run everything on the project level, or even on like the cloud level. Um, I know for me, I don't I get really annoyed if I have to keep saying the same thing in every chat. But yeah, yeah, it has it I recommend the projects level, just because you can add so much to it. Um, yeah. And then we'll have prompt session. Yeah, no. And then you can have like prompt sessions within that project, and it'll always have like the same like base context.
Right. You can keep on creating new chats under that project.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Someone else. Else I would be. Also, I would be doing gazillion things at once. My brain can't handle that. Same here, Lee. Same here. My brain can't handle that either. So we'll be sending all of these files at the after this. Again, if you wanted to subscribe to Between Thinking and Doing, which were my two Substacks, so there's Between Thinking and Doing, you get a free friction audit to help you determine kind of like what's holding you back from getting your work done. If you become a free subscriber, and then all free subscribers of the data letter get an AI readiness checklist, kind of score how far along your team is with AI adoption in your team and your company. Again, you can subscribe to both through these links here. Uh,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on today. And I hope everyone learned something new.
I'm
We
sure
we
I
learned
did.
something new for sure.
Did.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for joining. And is there any other question, last 30 seconds. If somebody has any question, they can drop it to the chat. Otherwise, we can meet next week again. Right.
Okay.
Robert says, thank
Thank
you.
you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on. Oh my god.
Thank you, Admin, for joining
Thank
and
you,
sharing this
Robert.
insightful. And
Absolutely.
yep. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. And we'll see you next Wednesday, 10 a.m. EST for One Shot Show.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks,
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.